Hello everyone and welcome back to the first game we'll be covering from round 10 of this year's Tata Steel Masters edition. It is Max Warmerdam versus Gukesh, and it's been a pretty crazy tournament so far. Gukesh, he had a weird start, but then after winning the first game, it sort of everything sort of went his way, and he is still undefeated, not only in the tournament but also upon becoming world champion. And Max not doing incredibly well. He did beat a 2800 player this event. He beat Arjun Ergesi, but so has everyone else. So it's not as important for the standings. Now let's check it out. It's quite the game. Like I said, Gukesh is not just leading the tournament, he is in sole lead. So if he can continue winning, he will retain that perhaps until the very end. And also if he wins all of the games until the end, so he has this game and 3 more, he could finish the tournament a 2800 player, which would just be, the icing on the icing of the cake. But, that's still way off. So let's see what happened in this one. Max has the white pieces and he opened with pawn to e4. And Gukesh already trying to mix it up from move 1. He goes for the Pirc defense, and at this level, seeing the Pirc very, very uncommon, but also could be, everyone's dream. If you're playing with the white pieces, everyone would rush at the opportunity to launch forward with d4. But not Max. He plays pawn to g3, which is kind of the 6th most popular continuation to the Pirc, and Gukesh plays pawn to c5. Which is kind of like meeting e4 c5 with g3, so it's like playing g3 against the Sicilian, which is not unheard of, but just not as common. We have bishop to g2, pawn to g6, c3, and bishop to g7. We have knight to e2 and knight to c6. So Gukesh having a very, very standard setup. It basically is a Sicilian. It's the Keres variation of the Sicilian. d4, we have captures, and now knight to f6. We have knight b to c3, and now castles kingside. We have pawn to h3 and bishop to d7, castles, and now there is a game where a6 was played. Here Gukesh plays rook to b8, and it is now as of move 10 that we have a completely new game. So okay, Max continues with bishop to e3, and Gukesh immediately lounges forward with pawn to b5. We have pawn to b3, pawn to b4, and now knight to a4. And here, Gukesh already managed to confuse Max a little bit, because this b4, while it usually is the most impressive move on the board, is a bit premature. And the move you have to play here, because what do you play? You could go knight b1, you could go knight d5, you could go knight to a4. Knight to d5 is actually the way to go, as the knight is a monster on d5, and it can be easily dislodged from there, especially if you capture. If you capture, where is this knight going? Can't go here, can't go here, can't go here, can't go here. You're gonna put it on a5, and after a5, okay, white just continues. You will put more pressure on that e7 pawn. E6 is covered. The black queen, where is the black queen going? It's not the best position for black. So here, Gukesh already managed to confuse Max a little bit, and he goes knight to a4 pretty quickly. He spent some 2 minutes on this move, and now just pawn to e6. So this is very sort of a daredevil approach to, playing classical chess, especially when you're a world champion. We have knight to b2 and pawn to a5 now. We have a4, and Gukesh captures on a3 en passant. So b captures on a3, rook captures, and now knight to b4. A beautiful outpost for the knight. We have knight to c3, and now bishop to b5, putting pressure on the rook, also inviting knight captures on b5, but that would weaken your center a little bit. So rook to e1, we have pawn to d5 and pawn to e5, knight to d7, and now queen to d2. So okay, it's a nice position for both of them, pretty much. Max doing a little bit better on time. Bishop back to a6, and now rook to c1. We have rook to c8, and rook 8 to a1. And now finally getting the queen into the game, connecting rooks, queen to b6 by Gukesh. We have knight c to a4, attacking the black queen, and the queen comes to b8. We have bishop to f1, offering a trade of light square bishops, and this is where Gukesh got him. This is where he got him. He could have tried some other moves, not this bishop to f1 move, like knight to c3, you get the knight into the game, or something like that. But here, after this bishop to f1 move, well, it does manage to trade pieces, and I guess it is what Max is trying to do here. it puts the white king in a most unfavorable square. And you will see what I mean by this. Gukesh captures on f1, king captures and pawn to f6, tries to open up the f-file for the black rook, and the king being on f1 is a huge problem here, as you'll see. E captures on f6, knight captures on f6, and now rook captures on c8, queen captures on c8, and now again this knight to c3 should be played. Gukesh's position is now better. Knight to c3 will probably be met with e5, and the white king being on f1 is definitely an issue. However, after queen captures on c8, rook to c1 was played, and now there is a huge problem here for Max, but only if you see it. Have at it, while I give you a couple of seconds. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this instant kill, and for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight to e4. That is just beautiful. Point being that if you trade queens now, knight captures on d2 comes with check, and of course you will also lose the exchange, and there's not much more you can do. You're down the exchange and you're gonna lose this game. So after knight to e4, Max said, of course I'm not gonna do that. He played queen to d1, and now comes the move that you really had to see when you played knight to e4. No doubt all of you saw it, so I'm probably pushing it, even asking you to pause the video again, but just in case, have at it. It all has to do with the king being on f1. Without the king on f1, we would not be having this discussion, but with the king on f1, of course, the move is queen to b8. And now look at this. Queen captures on g3, knight captures on g3. There's a rook on the f-file. Everything is looking very, very bad for Max. So Max unpins from the f-file. He plays king to g1, but still knight captures on g3, as the knight cannot be captured. If you capture the knight, then everything falls. This falls, this falls. Doesn't matter where the white king goes. Everything falls with check, and now you will simply checkmate the white king. Let's say rook f2, queen h3, and whatever white tries, you can prolong it for a couple of moves with rook c8 check, but nothing really happening here. So after knight captures on g3, knight to c5 was played, and now Gukesh just goes back. Knight to f5. So okay, Max can continue the game. He has a very strong knight on c5, but his king's position has been somewhat ruined. And here comes queen to g4. Capturing on e6 would be a bit too dangerous with the black queen going for that g3 square. Knight captures on e3, f captures, queen to g3 check, and again, it's all over. So queen to g4, stopping that, and now queen to e8, guarding the e6 pawn, knight b to d3, and now look at this, knight to c6, even inviting another knight to attack the e6 pawn, but it doesn't matter. Gukesh's position is so good that after knight to f4, Gukesh simply played bishop captures on d4, and he was in this position on move 34 that Max Warmerdam resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So really, really impressive game by Gukesh. He completely outmaneuvered Max in the opening, countering his e4 on the first move with the pierce defense. That this threw Max off guard. He said, all right, if you prepare for that, I'm going to play g3, something that you probably haven't prepared at all. And then I guess they were on equal footing, you know, both being unprepared. I guess Gukesh, at least in this instance, was the better unprepared player. And the reason you resign here is, well, okay, you can capture on e6. That was kind of Max's only idea. And let's say you captured, there's always knight captures on e3, and after f captures, bishop captures, you will also cost you the rook. Let's say king h2, you will capture, and after knight captures, you will play king captures, and you're just up a piece, up a full bishop, also up 2 pawns, so there's not even a discussion to be had here. So after bishop captures on d4, your only option would be to maybe capture on d4, but even this will not help you. Knight from f will capture on d4, knight from c, let's say, captures on e6, attacks the rook, and now knight to e5, and that's it. There are too many threats here. The knight coming to f3, you cannot keep defending the knight here, and whatever you play, well, let's say you go g2, knight e to f3 with check, king to h1, you're going to capture on e6, and that's pretty much it. If you capture this knight is defended. If you capture this knight, then knight captures on f4, and to make matters worse, you can't even capture on d5 to maybe, you know, go for some checks, maybe try to make it tricky. You're just down a piece with 0 counterplay. So yeah, beautiful stuff by Gukesh, remaining undefeated and on that path towards the 2800, maybe even achievable in this tournament. He's doing incredibly well, winning a second game in a row. I think he won 4 games out of his last 5, so I mean, just killing it. And yeah, he went into this round as the sole leader, so by winning a game, he remains in sole lead, and we'll see what happens in the rest of the tournament. But I will also cover a few more games from this round, and then we are going to discuss the standings. But yes, Gukesh is leading after 10 rounds have been played. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for recommending it as soon as it finished, but I would have covered it either way. I would like to thank John Tardif, congrats State Champ Joseph, Pierre Murad, Rani Lavi, and Andreas Rosenthal for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.